All right, welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to talk about expensive guitars versus cheap guitars and what is a better option for you, right? Are expensive guitars inherently better than cheaper guitars? And what determines the price, right? These are all things that we're going to talk about. So when we see guitar valuations, we see everything from like $200 to $300 all the way up to tens of thousands of dollars, sometimes even more, depending on the item. So what I want to do for this conversation is just take those historical pieces and put them off to the side. We are going to remove them from this conversation because I am gearing this more towards, a gigging musician, a player who, may or may not have financial constraints, but we're going to keep it at a more reasonable level. Reasonable sub $5,000, okay? So let's specifically look at a difference between a $1,000 guitar and a $4,000 guitar. So that ESP that I have with me, that ESP USA, probably retailed for a little over $1,000. Sitting right there, you can look at it. It's beautiful. I love it. It plays great. And then we have this Charvel that I think was $1,100, which is equally as awesome in my eyes. It doesn't have the beautiful quilted top, but it plays fantastic and it sounds fantastic, right? So before we get into the difference between these guitars, let's talk about what I look for as a player when I'm trying out a guitar. So I look for ease of playability, right? Typically that's the neck contour, the ability to reach higher up on the frets, things like that, and sustain. I want the guitar to resonate as long as possible. So those are the two things that I mainly look for in a guitar. So there's other factors that could drive the price of the guitar up, right? Like parts, expensive parts, labor, certainly where it's made, because that is probably the biggest cost of production, and wood quality, right? Like a beautiful quilted top will probably be more expensive than just a plain Jane piece of elder that will be painted over anyway, right? So those are all factors in the value, right? Now, what I can say is that if you do purchase a $4,000 instrument or a very expensive instrument, it should be flawless out of the box, right? There should be nothing wrong with that guitar, fit, finish at all. The fretwork should be immaculate, crown frets leveled. It should be great. No other issues. There should be no blemishes with the guitar. That should be reflected in the price, right? And the reason why is because if you're paying $4,000 for an instrument, they should put the love and care, the TLC that is needed to make that guitar flawless, right? Now, for a cheaper guitar, maybe $800 to $1,000, we cannot expect that type of treatment in the factory just because of production times. And they just can't focus that much on the guitar. So I'm okay with the guitar maybe needing a little bit of fret work. I'm not expecting the setup to be that good. I typically set up all my guitars anyway as soon as I get them, just because I'm crazy and I'm very OCD about that stuff. But I understand that they cannot devote the same amount of time to a guitar like this made in the Mexican factory versus ESP USA or Gibson USA or something like that, right? Gibson Custom Shop. So I'm anticipating that a cheaper guitar will probably require additional love from me when I purchase it. But that's not a problem because that probably usually takes about an hour as soon as I get the guitar, if it needs that. This guitar was great right out of the box, so there you go. Now, cheaper guitars, you can always upgrade with more expensive parts. Well, quality parts, better parts that just happen to be more expensive. If something's more expensive, it doesn't necessarily mean it's better, right? I just had to throw that out there. But yeah, this guitar, this came with Duncan pickups, which were awesome. They sounded great, but I replaced them obviously because I'm a huge bare knuckle fan. So I have bare knuckle pickups in this guitar, and I replaced the block in this trem with a stone tone block. That does it help with sustain? Well, I hope so. I like to think it does. I paid money for it, right? No, it does sound pretty cool. It does sound a little bit different than the other. So then realistically, when you're paying a lot of money for an instrument, you're pretty much paying for looks. Wood quality, does that matter so much? Maybe, I don't know. Somebody like Paul Reed Smith will tell you that it does. Regardless, these electric guitars are going to be plugged into an amplifier anyway, which will project your sound. But still, you want the source to be as quality as possible, from my perspective. But the wood quality, most of the good woods go to acoustic instruments anyway, and violins and cellos and instruments like that. So wood quality is important, but I don't think it's as important with an electrified instrument because we get help from the amplifiers. So we're paying for looks, man. You're paying for that beautiful quilted top. You know, you're paying for the logo on the headstock. Pretty much you're paying for looks and status. Like anything else expensive in life, like a car, for example, right? I think the most important takeaway to remember from this is that you can certainly buy a cheaper guitar, outfit it with quality parts, and it will be a killer guitar for you that you can take on the road, that you can jam with it, you can write with, and it will be awesome. If you happen to have the financial ability to buy something nicer and you want to, then absolutely go for it, man, because I'm not gonna knock expensive guitars because I have some. I think they're phenomenal guitars. Even though it may not seem like that from my last video, but I actually do love my Les Pauls. You know, I like quality stuff. But I can get down on a cheaper guitar and, you know, outfit it, and this thing is awesome. I love this guitar. I love this Charvel. Specifically, the neck profiles on Charvels are what I love so much about these guitars, man. But I think the most important thing to remember is that ultimately these are tools, right? These are tools to get you the specific sound that you are looking for a specific song, right? We all tend to get kind of caught up and lost in this gear chase, but ultimately the thing to remember is, what is the song calling for? You know, are you looking for a clean sound, like a Telecaster clean sound with some delay, or what do you need to write a better song? Because ultimately that's what it is all about. And if you can find something that didn't cost very much, that you were able to upgrade a little bit, and it sounds awesome and it's getting you the sound you're looking for, perfect. Also, if you just like having nice things and you want an aesthetically pleasing guitar that's like immaculate out of the box, then yeah, do that too. I do both. I love them both. But anyway, let me know what you think. Let me know what works for you. Let's keep this conversation going. And if you made it this far, like, subscribe, and we will see you next time.